Hello everyone, this is Jasmine aka Gladiatorinsweats, and I'm here with the daily tarot message, and I actually want to make this one a little bit quick. But today is for the day of Thursday, September 20th, 2018. So happy Thursday to everyone. And I guess first off, I just want to thank everyone that joined me live or tuned in and watched it any other time afterwards. The peace talk that I did with Mike, the peace dealer, on YouTube yesterday, I really had so much fun. It really was very nerve wracking for me to do. It was honestly very nervous and really anxious about it because I just was hopeful that I didn't ramble too much, or that I was able to try and express how I felt coherently. And I do feel like there's certain like questions that maybe I didn't feel I got to express well as far as like my answers to them. But honestly, a lot of it is like I feel like my Scorpio moon is just like not wanting to share like secrets. So I do apologize in advance for that. Especially like as I was rewatching it, and like just certain parts of it, it's like I can see it's like I'm really wanting to like share more, but then I'm not able to, like Mike was saying. It was just really funny to see happen live. So there was a lot of like little funny moments, but it was really great. So do go ahead and check it out if you would like to. I just thought it was a great time, and it really sparked me to really want to do that more, really want to interact with people more. I know a few people have asked about, like, if I've ever thought about doing like some sort of like live chat or anything like that. And I have. It's just well, one, trying to figure out the right place to do it, and two, I just never felt that there was any desire or interest for that. So I mean, if there's some sort of interest for that, then I would definitely love to look into it and figure a way out. So yeah, I just really wanted to start this off with saying thank you to all those that tuned in, all those that are new subscribers and tuning into me now, and even those that are returning, or whatever reason you're here and watching me for. I'm glad you're here and you're just tuning in. So yeah, so let's just get into it. Try and make this not so long, like I said. So the galactic signature for today is the self-existing serpent, and I'll go ahead and put the code, or the spell that goes with this galactic signature or this kin for today. And what I definitely feel from this energy, which I feel is shown as well in the tarot card, which I'll get to, but of this, even at the very end of it, talking about this converting of the red galactic spectrum, I picked this up as the red frequencies corresponding to the solar seals in the 13 moon calendar. So I'm thinking this is about a synchronization of the red moon energy, the red earth energy, the red dragon energy, as well as, again, this red serpent energy. So all of these energies are ultimately talking about being within our senses, the sensual nature of things. If of when we're even talking about the serpent, we're talking about the life force, your passion. Some refer to it as like that kundalini energy. And the red earth, speaking about us being in touch with the tactile nature of our bodies, of our physical temples or vehicles with which we maneuver on this plane. You talk about the red dragon, which speaks about nurturing, of birth, of creation, of primordial waters, of I think of, again, like the water energy, but I think a lot about Scorpio and Pisces, and I think about just the essence of divine femininity, which is this more, I guess, quote unquote, dark or non-physical matter. And so, oh, and then don't forget the red moon, which is about remembrance, about us shaking off the veils of forgetfulness, of us really remembering who we are, remembering why we're here, remembering what it is that we are desiring to do, what it is we really came here to do. Maybe not so like a specific, like, oh, I came here with a set grand mission and one set grand mission, but about reminding ourselves of the fact that we chose to be here, and not just like in a, oh well, I chose to be here, so deal with it, but like I chose to be here, and so we're finding that love. We're remembering the the nature of our relationship with the universe and with our environments and with our ultimately our divine plans that we have ultimately chosen for ourselves. And so I guess this is a perfect time to introduce the card that I have for today, which is the Lovers, which not only, signifies this card that I often pulled for the overall like purpose and goal when I pulled that for the very beginning, when I pulled that like adventurous quest card with the harmony card, which is the Lovers in that particular deck. And so yeah, all of this going back full circle to speak about the divine connection that we're finding, and not just finding within our worlds, but we're really returning the sacredness, or like the ceremony of this experience. And when I even look at this Lover's card, and the fact that we did pull the Sun card, which these both have the yin yang symbol, except one of them has it inverted or upside down. And so, or that's the Lover's card that has it upside down, rather. And so I'm feeling this again, as I was speaking about it earlier, about this divine flow. There's this give and take, there's a harmony, and ultimately, something that it really got me to thinking about, especially after a class I had yesterday about balance being a myth. And what I mean by this is, when we think about balance, it implies an inherent separation at some level. It implies that there's some sort of like compartmentalization. Like when we talk about like work home life balance, we're talking about this sort of like compartmentalization where, we have our home, and then we have our work life, and then we have our personal life. But really, this Lover's card here and the messages that are coming through is all about, this is about everything being a part of everything. This is about acknowledging that there is no separation. There's no separation of spirit from the world. There is no separation of magic from the mundane. There is no separation between what's supposedly good and bad, between light and dark, between like all of these things that we consider polar, these things that we consider things that don't belong together, or things that need some sort of separation in order for them to maintain their integrity. That is not so. It's just not so. It's not necessary. Things don't need to be separate in order for us to maintain our integrity. And this isn't even just speaking in a general spiritual way. I feel like this is even speaking about our connections to the world, or to other people, whatever relationships or bonds that we are forming with other people. This is about recognizing those relationships, good, bad, and indifferent. It's still some sort of relationship, or some sort of harmony or lack of, that is being created or being perceived here. But just even with the cards, again, like I said, they're holding their hearts in their hands. They're looking at each other in their eyes, almost as if they see each other's reflections in them. Like they're able to see themselves in the other, and vice versa. And even the fact that this card in particular has no real background, it has just a very starry, galactic, cosmic, ethereal feel. And so that's definitely what I'm feeling today and picking up on today, of us really recognizing that connection to all. And I feel like this is even speaking to, as I'm wanting to round off this video, actually, to Sun and Mercury being conjunct in Virgo today at 28 degrees. And so I actually wanted to read the Inside Degrees passage about this degree, this particular point in the chart. And so let me go ahead and read it. Autumn leaves pressed into a book. And that's the title. So let's go ahead and read the passage. The mind is a funny thing. It pores over experience with a fine-tooth comb, yet only sees what it is expected to see. The mind programs itself, indoctrinates itself thoroughly and intensively, and the fine art of imposing the familiar and the assumed upon all of life. This is a maddening way to operate, yet it does not register as being so. Instead, you like it this way, prefer it, advocate for it, simply because it is self-reinforcing and self-perpetuating. You are after elaborate confirmations and validations that the little self is perfectly splendid just as it is. And you will be sure to get these. The transaction is guaranteed. But there is an unknown self who cannot breathe in this atmosphere, and who knocks the door, seeking entry, and is not very pleased to be tuned out and pushed away, and told that we are fine as we are, and do not need to be stirred up by the voice of the rest of existence. And every time I read this passage, because I've read it a few times now, every time I get to that very last part, I just get all the shivers and tingles. And this passage, holy, I definitely feel like this is talking about, honestly, this harmonic that we're even moving into, which let me go ahead and pull that up in a little bit. But even just speaking about this Libra season that we're about to pull into, as Mercury moves into Libra tomorrow, and then the Sun will follow along on the 22nd. And so as we are, shifting out of Virgo into Libra, I feel like this passage is really talking exactly about how I feel like Virgo season has kind of gone for some of us. I don't want to say all of us, but I feel like for some of us, or maybe even all of us to some level, to where we, as I was saying, there's this process of where we impose everything that's familiar and everything that we assume onto everything, and we assume that that's the way that everything is because that's the way that we see it, and we assume that there's no possible experience or existence or viewpoint that exists outside of this, because again, as it was saying, we, in many ways, we advocate for it, we prefer it. It's a lot easier to just say, well, this is how I view things, so that's just how I view things. But this is again talking about there's the even as it says unknown self, it's this part of ourselves that's becoming more and more and more known, that cannot breathe. And I feel like that's even referring to this Lover's card, where I feel like the divine partner that we're ultimately interacting with here is this unknown self that has been just chilling out in the cut, waiting for us to acknowledge them, waiting for us to not even just acknowledge them, but for them to be for us to be I want to work on this, I want to repair this. It's the same way we consider relationships in a human way. I feel the same way when we're talking spiritually, when we're talking about our higher self or any sort of higher dimensionality, where there's an harmony, but there's also a level of acknowledgement, of acknowledging that there is something else there, that there, not just something else, but there's much more out there than what we're experiencing within this body, within this one, not one, but from this viewpoint that we're seeing things from. And I guess this could go even deeper if you want to even talk about how we can even take these physics theories or beliefs and apply it to the way that we see things spiritually. It's just very funny to me, even as I've been talking about the separation of things, and it even reminds me of when people talk about science and they refer to science as something outside of magic or outside of spirituality, when we just really think that there's anything outside of another, and we think, well, these are totally separate. It's just no, it doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work that way, but that's ultimately not the goal. That's not the goal. That's not the purpose here. And even I feel like this is something, there's just so many levels to this for me. Even as something I've been observing is within our quote unquote light workers communities or whatnot, of just this idea that acknowledging the quote unquote dark, whatever that even means for you, acknowledging things are quote unquote supposedly or seemingly bad, or even the acknowledgement of quote unquote 3D thing. Like, okay, I guess let me try and not be so vague about it. Like, we can be human and be spiritual. We can do all the meditations and eat all the clean foods, and burn all the divine essence incenses, and we can do all of this great stuff. But to act like we are not still humans, and not just us, but to act like people that don't experience things the way that we do, or people that maybe are they feel a little bit more trapped by some of the things like race, or by lack consciousness, or things like that, or the way that some of us, or even the way that we can get in our heads and our egos, and thinking like we're better than, or thinking like, oh well, they would be better than if they just joined us and did what we did. And for me, this really brought to me the mirror that, like, there is that part of me that's like been told, through, these communities, and through, the things that people are claiming, that, we can't do quote unquote regular people things. We can't listen to regular music, and we can't watch regular TV, and we can't do regular things, because that would be below us. And for some people that can be true for them or whatnot, and that's for them, and that's not even for me to knock. But I even feel like here, this isn't about finding a balance. This is about integration, the divine union. This is about the divine synchronization and bond that is. And I feel like this is even there is nothing outside of love, outside of God. Yeah, we can be like, okay, maybe listening to certain types of things, or intaking, consuming certain things can be, a little unhealthful, but everything is moderation. Like, the ways in which we apply spirituality in certain circles can be just so, like, this idea of even wanting to run away from earth. And that's a separation. That's like feeling separate from part of source, from any part of source. That's separation. That's not necessarily feeling harmonic with all that is. And that's really what I'm feeling like this lesson is, not just for this wave spell, but I guess just what I wanted to talk about today, because not just because of like anything someone specifically has been saying, but because even for myself, something how I've been talking about of us finding balance, and it really got me to kind of second guess what it is that I mean by balance. And yeah, that's really definitely what I feel is like, actually, it's not necessarily even just about a balance. It's about acknowledging that spirit is in everything, that we're going to even be human even when we're practicing our spirituality. So even the attempt of like removal of like quote unquote like imperfection, or whatever it is that means for you, from our spirituality, like, all of it is just like, it's insane. Honestly, it's insanity, because it not only makes no sense, but it goes against all the things that we are claiming, right? And again, this is something that I was even talking about in the peace talk of like, I guess I'm just at the point of where I mean, I've done so much studying. I quote unquote know so much, and I'm just wanting to move out of just knowing stuff and just talking the talk with people. Like, I want us to start walking the walk and just being it. And that's the message that's been coming through, is it's time for us to be what it is that we've been learning about, even all our lives. All of us that have been on these paths to come to this point of us breaking free in a sort of way, so that we're able to kind of fully come onto our quote unquote path. Like, even the acknowledgement that, hey, we're coming onto our path, that means everything that happened in the past happened for a reason, to some extent, to some level. Everything accumulated and added up to this present moment, and everything always adds up, even to the next present moment and the next. So it's like, I don't know, there's just a lot coming through for me about really releasing these really rigid ideas of what everything is supposed to be like, the things that we've been told it's supposed to be like, the way that our mind, our brain just wants to continue to tell us all these things. And it's not like it's I don't even really see it like as a shutdown of the brain, but the way I'm seeing this is as like we're our thoughts are more they're filtering more through our heart as opposed to just filtering all through our mind, and then we're going through that way. I feel like again there's heart space, the higher heart space being activated. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and end it here because I did want to keep this a little bit shorter and sweeter. So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm so appreciative, and I just can't say it enough. So I'm just so thankful, and I hope that any messages were received well and with some sort of clarity and some sort of insight today. So as usual, check down below for any ways as far as like to reach me online, or if you would like to reach me for like a reading or for any sessions. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I will go ahead and I guess put the peace talk down below as well, so for those of you that didn't get to check it out, you can go ahead and find the link there. But I think that that's really it that I have for today. I did not really talk about the codon today, so let me actually go and just speak about that a little bit, because we'll talk a little bit more about that as well through the week. Alright, so I'll go ahead and add the photo above here, but the harmonic 57 that we are in of the resonance store, remember elegance of attunement. I feel like this is a simple brief like little phrase that fully encompasses and embodies what it is I was just talking about, of us, we're activating, the templates of attunement. We're really attuning ourselves to our, what I feel is our true frequency, I guess our most honest or our most genuine, authentic vibe. And not just that, but with the codon today but of these next 4 days, of radiosonic way, principle of dynamic construction, evolves mind. And again, I feel like this is all about the accumulation of Virgo season, of all that we have realized and begun to understand, and all of the things that have been clarified for us in a way of us being able to. It's really not just evolving our mind, as it says here, but I feel this is, again, it's about us restoring our memory. There's, again, relieving of further and further veils of forgetfulness of who we are. We're really acknowledging, who it is that we are in our most elegant and our most graceful. And I feel not just that, but I mean, this codon, or this next 4 days, is really gonna, I feel, bring us into just a lot. I mean, today is also the beginning of a new moon month, which I will be talking about that hopefully tomorrow, and I'll just talk about briefly what this month, or this next 28 days means for us. But yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot going on. Even over, like I said, this next 4 days, the fact that we're moving into this Libran energy, that we're also got this wave spell pivot, as we've finished this one leg of the wave spell. Now we're moving into the next one of really bringing all of the thoughts, all of the, I guess, theoretical, the imaginative, all the things that we've been really thinking about. We're bringing it further and further closer to manifestation, especially as we're moving into this equinox portal gate, where, again, as the sun will enter Libra. And I'll talk a bit more about that later. And there's plenty of, and not, I won't say plenty of info, but there's info that is out from some of my favorite people. So I will try to link some of those people, or actually it might be easier if I don't know if it would be easier if I just made my like subscribers, as far as like the people that I'm subscribed to, just make that public so you can like see the people that I may follow. I don't really follow too many people on like a day-to-day basis, but like there's definitely like a handful of people that I will definitely like fall on whenever there's like something I'm wanting to hear about, or just even wanting to hear their personal opinion or channeling about something. So yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and like do that. But either way, let's try and end this now. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, thank you for y'all subscribing, for supporting, liking, commenting, all that great stuff. It's been just been such a whirlwind to start this, and really not start it with any real desire, or any, not real desire, but any like real goal, and to really see it blossom in the way that it is now. It just makes me really happy. It makes me proud in a way. So yeah, without further ado, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. We're about to bring in the weekend, so for those of y'all like waiting for the weekend and excited for that, I'm definitely rooting for y'all with that too. And yeah, without further ado, I send y'all much love and many blessings. Peace.